All right. Good afternoon.
As you go into the week, Brooks, Cox, Bradham, Darby, are any of them you're not expecting to have on Sunday?
Right now, they all practice today, looking good. So obviously we haven't made any official announcements on who's in, who's out, but we're going to take it day by day. But fully expect, those guys you mentioned to get time on Sunday.
When you look at this 53-man roster, I guess this is your fourth one now. Is this maybe the most talented roster, would you say, that you've had since you've been here?
I think it's definitely from the standpoint of depth. I think the depth part of it for sure. There's talent at a lot of positions. A lot of the same guys are back from that have been with me now for 4 years. But hey, it never. You still have to go play and still have to execute your offense, defense, and special teams. But I do feel like it's our deepest roster that we've had, yes.
Carson was asked a similar question during training camp about the depth of the roster and the talent, and he said, and I'm paraphrasing, but it basically was, it doesn't matter if we don't gel, if we don't come together in this camp. Did that happen?
I think so. I felt like this unit really started coming together, or this team started coming together, a couple weeks ago when we started really in that Baltimore week of work against them, and even last week, keeping those guys working together. You see the communication and the things that go on that have to go on, during a practice, during a play of a practice, depending on what you're working on. And I do think that these guys really did begin to communicate that way and come together and gel and this is it's a good time to see that happen.
The messaging going into preseason was everything matters. We saw shirts. How does that messaging evolve now officially in week 1 of the season?
It doesn't change. Everything we do matters, from the littlest things to the biggest things, and it also applies to how we approach the week. Guys get a little more free time now during the week with the regular season being upon them, and so how they spend their extra time, film study, conditioning, obviously diet, rehab, those types of things matter on game day. And if we don't take care of those things and focus on those things, which are the little detail things, then you can slip up in a game. So the message still applies as we go.
Derek Barnett didn't participate at all in preseason, and he's coming off the surgery, and he hasn't played since October. How do you feel about where he is, and is he the type of guy where he can go that long without playing and not be effective?
I feel really, really good about Derek. He's been probably the one that's been practicing the most during training camp with getting more reps, each and every week. So he's in a really good spot. So I have no issues with him not playing or being there.
Are you disappointed Clayton Thorson didn't work out here, or was there something that you guys might have missed in the evaluation there?
No, listen, it's tough enough to make the decisions we have to make, and we got to let players go. And obviously, that was one of the positions at quarterback where we felt like we had, the depth that we talked about earlier. And, you have to make those decisions to put a guy out there in hopes of bringing him back. And Clayton was a guy that we hoped that we could get back, and put him on practice squad. But other teams are looking at our roster as well. We're looking at other teams' roster, and I'm happy for him. He got picked up, and he's get a chance to continue to play in this league.
Well, you guys brought in a different quarterback though for the practice squad. Did you want to?
Well, the process of us having a quarterback, we wanted a quarterback, and just not being able to get him back at the time, we had to find. And wanted to find another guy that we could develop and grow.
Doug, obviously the Redskins signed a couple of your guys. How much of that whole thing about whether the coaches can lean on them to get intel, is that overrated or is that a real thing?
I think it's a real thing. I don't know how much it plays into the game planning part of that week. It happens a lot, but I'm sure coaches will pick the brain and see what they know and see what they can use, and probably it just kind of confirms anything that they've seen on tape, that they've been able to prepare for.
You're starting your fourth year, and you won a Super Bowl, but you just talked about the depth of this roster, and there's a lot of excitement that comes with that. Describe your emotions heading into week one in the season. How do you this time around?
I mean, I'm still excited. I'm still nervous. I'm still anxious. I'm fired up for the guys. I think this is a great opportunity. I mean, everybody's sitting here today kind of with the same, probably besides Green Bay and Chicago, who play on Thursday night. Their timetable has been sped up. But, for the rest of us, we're obviously looking forward to Sunday. But I'm excited. I mean, it never gets old, and never. Those emotions will never go away, and the passion and the desire, and we got to keep it. It's a long season, obviously. Great opportunity, division opponent with the Redskins this Sunday, and we just got to continue to work hard. But yeah, I'm all those emotions wrapped up into week one.
You have a lot of guys that can obviously do a lot with the football, but only one football. Do you think you have the egos to handle all that? There would be certain weeks where the receiver might not see it at all.
Yeah, I do. The guys that have been here understand how it works. The guys that we've added will catch up quickly. And I don't think you necessarily have to go into a game saying, Alshon's got to get this, or Deshaun's got to get this, Zach's got to get this. I mean, the ball's going to go where the ball's going to go, and that's based on the play design. It's based on the progression and what the defense presents. So bottom line is obviously having enough for everybody in the game plan, but at the same time, our execution and ultimately, trying to win a football game.
You're only carrying two tight ends. You mentioned that tight end, you're only carrying two. That could change by Sunday. You got two on the practice squad.
Right.
But is that an indication you're comfortable with some of the offensive linemen in 13? Isaac started that way as sort of an extra tight end. Are you comfortable if you have to do that?
Yeah. Obviously, the third tight end could be, it could be Andre. But yeah, it's something too. When we look at our personnel on offense, having our three starters and JJ sitting there, and then you factor in the two tight ends, getting a third tight end actually in a football game is hard, unless you're in a short yardage or goal line situation, and yet we feel like that we're going to spend most of our time in our 11 and 12 personnel on offense and go that route, and then you factor in the running backs that we have. So, each year is a little bit different. The shape of the team is different. And the other thing, too, is special teams become a little more important. And looking at other positions to add depth at those positions who can also help you on special teams.
Doug, after further testing, what did you find out about Jordan Mailata's back?
It's week to week. And he's, he's still rehabbing. And we just got to get him the proper time until he get ready to play.
Doug, Deshaun is playing against one of his former teams. I'm wondering what you remember about the time back then when he made the transition from Philly to Washington. Like what your reaction was when he, got released from here, and whether KC was kind of in the mix there.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't here obviously when that happened. Being in Kansas City at the time, but I can't speak for the decisions and everything that went on, but I knew Deshaun was going to thrive wherever he's at. He was going to make an impact, and then obviously, for me coming back in 16 and having to play against him, down there makes you a little nervous, and because he still has the explosive power and the speed and the quickness to stretch the field, and just an exciting player to watch. Just glad we were able to get him back.
At cornerback,
Jalen Mills, by the time he gets up, it'll be like a calendar year since he hurt his foot. What in the world did he do to his foot that's going to take
Hurt his foot.
a full year to come back from?
Yeah, I mean, it's just something that. And the thing is, with that injury, I mean, it takes time. It just takes time. It's a sensitive area, and this extra time would really, number one, give him confidence coming back, and number two, we're not risking the player to further injury.
at cornerback, Doug, do you want to have a designated starter on each side, or do you anticipate rotating the outside cornerbacks you have?
I think, I mean, You're going to have, obviously, on game day, 2 designated corners, obviously. But they're all going to play. They're all going to have to play. And I feel like that's one of the areas that we got better, this offseason and through training camp. And, the addition of Darby coming back is really going to a shot in the arm to the defense in the cornerback position. And so they're all going to play. And that's kind of how we look at it.
Top two guys.
Top 2 guys? Well, obviously going in, I mean, we'll see where Darby's at the end of the week, but Darby and Sydney obviously could be the top 2. Rasul's going to play quite a bit, and then Avante's going to be in the mix at nickel. So, I mean, all 4 guys are going to play.
Doug, how do you envision Darren's role right now beyond special teams?
Yeah, I mean, obviously primary punt return, and then he's going to be a nice mix, change of pace on offense, and you'll see him on third downs. I think this is a guy that can still be effective, not only in the run game, but also in the passing game on third down, and gives us the ability to empty the backfield from time to time. So continue to see his role expand that way.
Tight ends, we talked about some of the skill position players that you've added in the running back room and the wide receivers, but at tight end, you're back with the same top 2 guys. Obviously, Zach is coming off a career year, and Dallas is in year 2. How much more can you get out of that group? What are you expecting from that group as the season begins?
I mean, I think we can get more. Both guys, this is what I like about either one of these 2 players. I mean, their willingness to grow and learn. They're not satisfied with obviously their performances or what we did last year as a team and them individually. So they want to be coached. We can definitely use Dallas more. That was one of the things we, from self-scouting back in the spring, we felt like we could utilize Dallas a little bit more in situations, and I think that becomes, a nice, personnel group for us with the 2 tight ends, 2 receivers, and then we can rotate the 2 receivers from time to time and give us different options there. So definitely something that we looked at hard, in the off season and through training camp, and could really expect, both those tight ends to have good years.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.